very happy to be present this day here to talk on writing skills. We will discuss this topic in two parts, part 1 and part 2, and I hope you will stay back with us for the whole session. So, writing skills, as the name suggests, is a very important topic for anyone. We are discussing this topic under the subject business communication. So, in business communication, writing is of utmost importance. Every day, if you look at any business, a small firm to a big firm, they all rely too much on email. What is email? Email is a written communication. It's a medium of written communication, right? You look at memos, notices, circulars, promotion material. We all, sitting at our home, we come across so many pamphlets in our newspapers daily. That is a written communication, right? We visit websites to find out about products, services, different locations, whatever we want to search. We go and search on net, and that material which is available on Google or any search engine for that matter, what is that? Even that is written communication from someone to the one who is reading, right? So, written communication is of utmost importance in business world. We are going to spend many sessions on this, believe me or not. In future, we are going to take up many, one by one different means of written communication. But today we will focus on what is written communication, on writing skills are, how do we improve writing skills, what is the structure which we will follow, and certain guidelines. This would be the agenda for next few minutes. So, written communication has a great significance in business world, as I gave so many examples to you. Okay, this is a creative activity, an activity of the mind of a person. So, how creative we are with the words, with the presentation, with the format, with the structure, that decides the quality of the written communication. How today morning I was having a meeting with few of the colleagues to discuss about the website. So, and we refer to couple of universities' website, and each university has its own different outlay, a different color structure, a different language. That's all the written communication. Okay. So, one can be so much creative with this writing skill that you can't even imagine. Okay, that's why people are different. That's why few fiction sells more than others, because the writing, one person, one writer was more creative than the other, or could actually generate interest of readers because of the creativity in writing he brought in or she brought in. Okay, so it's a creative activity of the mind. And this written communication, actually you look around, you will find everywhere, every single promotional material we come across, be it a website even. If you go and visit on an e-commerce site to place an order for shoes, so you will find there are a couple of sellers, couple of discounts, color schemes, color coding, sizes, details, guidelines, references, suggestions, reviews, what they all are. They all are written communication, right? So this suggests us the importance of written communication in business. Okay? Though we all know the speech came first, writing came later, but writing is more creative, more authentic, more formal than speech. Speech is certainly something, the verbal communication I'm referring here is also a means of communicating your idea, your thought. You can promote your company, your products through speech as well. But written communication proves to be more authentic, more creative, and more formal as well. Okay? So, this effective writing skills can be built in if we really pay attention to the choice of words we make. Your writing is what? Your written document is actually containing words. I'm not talking about the language. Language could be English, Hindi, French, Punjabi, anything, right? So, but the choice of word, the selection of word would matter to communicate your message. Then are we putting those words in the correct order? You know, we come across so many mistakes in written communication, in brochures, on websites, in notices, in letters, etc., right? So first thing, do we have the right selection of the word? Are we putting those words into correct order? And then are we following the sentence formation guidelines for a particular language? You know, how to format sentence. It should be short, crisp, meaningful, straight, and as small as possible. So sentence formation is another thing. And lastly, of course, the composition does matter. So these are the few important things in your writing skills which will decide that what is your output of the written skill. You know, your output would be, of course, going to be affected, going to be influenced by all these things, be it your word selection, be it your, you know, order selection or sentence formation, or even design, etc., selection of graphs or the pictures if you are using, even that does matter. Okay. So another thing, while we are writing, we need to take care that speech is spontaneous. Let's say if I am speaking something and other person can respond immediately on the spot, and then I can explain. The person can seek query, the person can give suggestions, the person can seek clarification, and I can respond, right? So the possibility of having more effective communication is there when somebody can speak well and knows the language. Then the spoken communication will bring more effective communication. I mean, the verbal communication, which is spoken one, is going to be more effective because of the feedback we get on the spot, because of the query we get on the spot, the node we get on the spot. But in writing, whenever we are communicating in writing, there's a delay, there's a gap in the feedback. You know, the time of the response one can give in an oral language, oral communication vis-a-vis written communication. There's a gap, right? So it's very, very important that we keep in this thing in our mind when we are writing. We should not miss anything which could be a probable question. So we should try to anticipate those questions which would come in the mind of the reader, and they should be addressed while writing itself. We should not leave any scope of such foolish queries or obvious queries, if I put it right way, right? So those obvious queries, obvious questions should be addressed by anticipating what we are trying to communicate. Now, if I talk about, you know, the progression we taken, if I go back to the history and talk about the progression which took place in the written communication, there was a stage when only pictograms were used. You know, we all know we have Ajanta caves in our own country, right? That's a marvelous work. And there are so many messages about, you know, Buddhist culture, about devotion, about love, about, you know, through pictures, through pictograms, right? We have carving on stones, and those caves which we call as Ajanta caves, Ajanta and Ellora caves. So we have those pictograms. So that was a stage when messages were communicated through pictograms. No words were there, so no language was developed, and that was the first stage. You know, way back in BC, in the 2nd century, I'm talking about. Then after that, there was a development in terms of alphabets. Alphabets came, different languages came, and then the written communication was through alphabets. Of course, we didn't get the paper immediately. We were using alphabets, some language, but on some wood board, you know, which we call as takhti in those days, or on stone. So those that was means, that takti or that wood frame or the stone is a means, right? But the communication was through alphabets, right? So that was the stage 2 when alphabets were used and medium could be anything. Medium was initially it was stone, then we invented few more things, then we have slates, and then gradually we have paper, we have pen, right? So that's how there was a progression in the written communication. And nowadays, in the stage 3, what we see, we can actually see the written message through electronic medias, waves. Whatever somebody is writing, sitting, in US, in Canada, so many miles away from here, we can read it simply on our WhatsApp. So that is a progression that written communication can be communicated within fraction of seconds through such media, through website, through phones, using the function of WhatsApp or any such other app. So this is the third way where we all are blessed that there's no time lag. Almost very quickly the response can be given. Okay, so this time lag has come down. Now, after this progression, I would like to talk about the types of written communication. So, there are primarily 2 types of written communication, formal and informal. The formal written communication means in the business when we are writing a letter, an email, I am writing a response to a query, I am giving clarification to a question raised by my senior, I am furnishing a sales report, I am furnishing production report, I am communicating production schedule, marketing budget. They all are examples of formal communication, formal written communication, right? What could be informal? We all understand that, I believe. If I am writing a letter to my friend, to my father, to my mother, I am writing message to my mother, my mom, my dad, that is informal communication. If I am writing on WhatsApp, I am writing a letter, I am writing on email, so we can send an email to friends as well, right? It's not only in the business that we use written communication. We do use written communication for personal. I remember in my childhood, letter was the most common means of communication. I used to write letters to my cousins, when I was staying away from my parents, to my parents even, to my brother who was in a hostel. So, written communication could be formal or informal. That's the point I'm trying to explain with the help of this example. Okay, so the means of written communication, we do have so many means for written communication, and we have to learn how to improve writing skills. Okay, so after this means, we are going to jump to the main agenda, that how to improve or what are writing skills. So means of written communication could be the most common in business world nowadays is electronic mail, email we call it as. That electronic mail is the most common written communication means or medium nowadays, followed by internet website. Every company, big to small, has his or her its website. Okay, people have their website. I have come across so many professors who have their websites. So internet websites is another. Person can promote oneself or one's publication, one's research, one's work, products, schemes, programs. Governments have their websites where they are actually promoting program for vaccination, program for protection of against any disease. So those internet website is they are also means of written communication. Letters, of course, still there are people, and especially a particular generation which still loves to write letter. So letters are not as common as they were in the past, but still they are there. Proposals, budget proposals, project proposals. Proposals are written in the in the way to convince someone to sell some idea, to sell some concept, to sell some product. How let's say a smart board will bring more interactive class hours for a teacher. So this is a proposal, let's say somebody is submitting to me to promote a smart board, right? So that proposal is also means of written communication, where the person is trying to communicate the features of a smart board and the application of a smart board in a classroom. So that is a proposal, that is a sales proposal from a company promoting smart board. And now this is just an example I am taking. Okay, telegrams, still there are few countries, especially we call it third world countries, or there are certain countries where still the telegrams are used, where we do not have so much internet connectivity, especially in certain areas in South Africa. There are many countries who do not have the internet yet. Yeah, so I am referring to the actual data. So telegrams are still there as means of communicating to faraway places. Faxes, they were common, but now they are not very common, but still those countries which are using telegram, they are using faxes as well. Especially telegrams is almost nil, but faxes are still there in those countries I am referring to. Postcards are no more common at all, anywhere in fact. So, but they used to be the means of communication. Memos are something which are exclusively meant for business communication, internal, external, right? So memos are issued within the company. So we will discuss, we'll spend a session on this separately. Reports could be about the progress, about a query which has been raised, about any inquiry against a particular incident or happening or an event. So reports are furnished by an individual or by a group of people. So for any task for which the answer has been sought for. Okay. So reports are another means of communication. Then we have bulletin. So bulletin in the sense, news bulletin could be there. Progress bulletins could be there. There are many companies which are spread over, many countries. They issue bulletins. They share the progress with the rest of the group or rest of the employees. Head office may issue bulletin. So that's another means of communication. Even JDs which are issued, job descriptions. No one would think it is a written communication, means it is. So let's say a company requires HR executives, or let's say sales executive for one of its office in Delhi. Okay, so they are advertising that we need a person who has these skills, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be the salary, these are the working hours, and this is the date of the interview or the interaction, and do submit your resume or your CV on this address or on this email. What is that? That's a job description, giving the details of the job and further details, for interaction. It's a job description. So JD is another example of communication. Most of the academic institutions, they get JDs from the future employers. Alright. So then we have employee manuals. We call it as standard operating procedures. Every company has most of the good companies would have standard operating procedures for everything. Companies would have manuals how to apply leave, manual on how to start a particular machine, manual on how to treat a particular query if it is a software company or such like that. So employee manuals are basically written documents to help employees sustain in a business, to sustain the practices or observe the practices and adopt them, or observe and follow a particular protocol regarding any particular business activity, right? So companies can prepare 1,000 manuals or only one manual. It will depend upon the size and the need of the company. So these are the means of written communication in the business communication. And in the first half, I will talk about the last part now, that what are those essential elements in writing skills. If I want to improve my written skills, right, writing skills, I need to pay attention to 4 things. What are those 4 things? Number 1, my structure should be very, very solid. Okay, so when I say solid structure, what does it mean? We need to pay attention to 3 things. The structure should have and must have at least 3 parts: introduction, body and conclusion. Now we will spend few minutes on this. My introduction should be actually very, very catchy. It should give abstract or a gist of what all is there in my letter, in my project report, in my writing, whatever I am submitting, or report, proposal. So introduction gives an idea to the person to decide to spend more time in reading or not, in other way, to make somebody interested. So it's a kind of opportunity for a writer to make someone interested in the proposal or in the writing. Okay, so introduction is so important in the solid structure. Then the body it should have all the details one is expecting, and details should be written by anticipating what is expected out of this piece of writing. Okay, body could have details, facts, figures, summaries, everything, data points, comparison tables, all that should be there in the body for any report, for any proposal. Or if it is a mail, then body should have details of the meeting, details of the project we are proposing, details of the subject matter, in fact, right? And the conclusion part should be such that it should leave an impact on the head and the heart of the reader, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So leave an impact, a strong impact. So you should have such a language, such an appeal, such an approach that the person remembers that, carries that. Conclusion should be such an impactful writing. It could be 1 line, 2 line, but it should be impactful. Happy reading, for example, only 2 words, happy reading. So even that is so effective. Okay, so solid structure should have these 3 things. Okay, so we have 3 more points, out of these 4 essential elements of effective writing. We will discuss those 3 effective elements, remaining elements in the effective writing, in the next half after a few minutes from now. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you.